Okay, so new day, new fit, new background. Wanted to switch up the look. We've been working together in this course for quite a while. It's been about 8.5 hours so far, just of pure post production and editing content. So we're building a good relationship. We're getting to know each other, and I'm really excited for these next two chapters because these are both going to be downloadable content that I'm going to be editing that you'll be able to download a more lower resolution version of and follow along and edit with me. So let's get into what content we're going to be working with in this chapter. So I want you to grab the downloadable footage that you can click next to this lecture or edit a past project that you have. Now, this past project has to have A-roll coverage and B-roll coverage, and what we're going to do is create around a 30 to 45 second promo video. So in this chapter, I'm not going to be going through the back up the footage, gather the footage, capture it, organize it, pull it into the timeline, create selects, make a backup of that sequence, color and label everything. We've already done that together through around 4 or 5 projects already. So from this point on in the course, we're going to be focusing on the more advanced techniques that come after that just initial organizing and setting up phase. So I'm excited to get into these new techniques. So before we dive into this chapter, be sure that you have your initial rough edit ready to go. And then what we're going to focus on together is these new types of techniques like creating a multicam sequence, using quote unquote unusable B-roll. That's going to be really cool. We're going to get into masking and how to create cool new styles of overlays, more of the glitchy effects, and we're going to get into some of my favorite filters to use. Then at the end of the chapter, once we've finished our edit together, you can export and share your video URL in the student Q&A section for feedback from myself and from your other fellow students. And I want to mention that these techniques you can use for any kind of promo. So whether you're creating a promo for a product, for a client, it could be any kind of product. I don't know, like product for a client, or possibly you have a service that you offer. Maybe you sell something online, or maybe you offer something in person. This kind of promo video will be a high energy short thing that'll make that product or service or video series that you want to advertise or music album that you want to advertise. That's what this specific promo that I'm going to be editing is for. It's a promo for a music album. But for anything for a client or personal project, this will work. So what I want to do first before getting into the editing lesson is show you an example of what one of these final products looks like. All right, so let's get right into the edit. Now, what I have already done here is taken my main footage and I've dragged it into my timeline. This is my B-roll timeline. As you can see here, we have the B-roll shots, just kind of cool environmental footage. And I filmed it in a way knowing that this was gonna kind of be a gritty, urban-y, kind of more city, downtown, gritty vibe. So the way I filmed it was kind of a shaky handheld way. And we're gonna get into the B-roll thing, not in this lesson, but in I think the next one, which I'm really excited because a lot of these shots would be unusable. From an outside perspective or maybe initially looking at it. So we have that set up and ready to go. We need to pull these selects, which I'm going to do. And then we have the promo song. So that's going to be our backing track, our main audio for this edit. And yeah, if you don't have this footage downloaded yet and you want to edit this with me, make sure you download that because we're going to get into everything here. The song is in the folder, the B-roll, and then the main footage is in the folder as well. So here's our main footage: performance 1, performance 1B, for performance 2, performance 2B. Because I shot everything at 4K, what my camera specifically does is when it hits a certain point, a certain amount of gigs, whatever it is, or a certain length, it'll cut up the clip into two things. So that's not a problem, but that's just a little bit more of a complexity. But basically, 2A and B is one performance, 3A and B is one performance, and so on. So I basically shot this same performance 6 different times. So if we take a look, we have this first one that's shot on a Steadicam, and I shot wide and some close-ups. If we go to the next one, a shot even wider. And if we go to the third one, I think this is, yep, some more close-ups on what he's doing with the hands. And if we go to number 4, I think this one, oh, I think the next one is handheld. No, okay. The last one is handheld. Cool. So once I got his performance perfectly, or whatever perfect means, but once I got his performance done well 5 times, on the last one, I was getting more artistic, shaky shots that are just going to be quick little cutaways that we're going to really put to use. So yes, the multicam sequence is something I've been wanting to teach for a while in this course, but now that we have an opportunity to do it, let's get into how to create this multicam sequence. So we're going to go to our footage tab, and we want to select all of our performance MOV files that we want to sync up. So I'm going to select all those. I'm going to hit right click and I'm going to click create multicam sequence. Now it's going to pop up a page that's just going to simply ask you, how do you want me to synchronize these clips? Do you want me to use in and out points that you've set? Do you want me to use time code, or do you want me to use audio? Of course we want it to use audio because it's going to analyze the waveforms and it's going to click everything in place layered on top of each other. And we're going to leave the sequence preset to automatic. That means it's going to set our sequence to the proper settings, the same as our footage. And we want to leave the camera names set to enumerate cameras. It's just going to organize the clips that we synchronize together a little bit better. So we're going to hit OK. And now it's going to go through the processing function of synchronizing the different clips together. And sometimes you will get this page. It says, we could not synchronize one or more clips, which can happen for a few different reasons. But let's hit OK. And now we have our multicam sequence. So we can already see we have our different shots lined up and we can view them all at the same time. This is really the bread and butter and the cool part of the multicam sequence. But as of right now, we can't edit it. So what we want to do is right click our sequence and hit new sequence from clip. This is going to take our multicam sequence and it's going to drop it into the timeline with the proper settings. And now we can see, and if I hit Shift 0, it's going to bring up all of our angles. So you can kind of see that what we did in the other, I think it was a second edit or third edit we did together in the course. We dragged all the layers and then we kind of peeled back the layer on top, which revealed the layer on the bottom. That's the normal way to do it that people have been doing for years and years. This is a much more just quicker way to kind of click through and see all the shots and okay, perfect. That's the perfect 2 seconds for this piece. It's just a lot faster. So, but what we want to do next is it default labels your sequence the same as the first MOV file in the multicam, which we don't want to do. So we're going to title this main sequence because we're going to be where all of our footage is going to be. And what we can do is if we double click the audio file from the multicam sequence, that's going to actually bring us to inside the sequence, which is pretty cool. So this is what it did. It dragged and analyzed all these different shots using the audio, using the peaks and valleys. You can see boom, 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 right? And that is how it organized it. Now, what I want to do is put these MOV files on the same layer. So I'm going to put this down. I'm going to drag this down. And I'm going to put, yeah, these are both performance 3. They're on different layers, which you'll see why we're doing this when we actually get to clicking through the multicam. Is stuff that's on the same layer is part of the same window that we're seeing. So we want to keep all the takes on the same window. I'm just going to move these down to create, to take away this extra space. And I can see something that's going on here. See, we have 2A, but we don't see 2B. See, we have 1A, 1B, 3A, 3B, 4A, 4B. And we're also missing 5B because we have 6A, 6B. We have 5A and 2A. That warning window, if you want to call it that, that showed up that said we didn't get to synchronize all your clips. Sometimes it will, for whatever reason, when it analyzes all the files, it won't match some up and it'll say, damn, I don't know what to do with this one, guys, so I'm not going to put it in the multicam. That's what it did with our 2B take and our 5B take. So we can see that missing in the timeline. So we're going to have to go and add that in manually. It's not the end of the world because we've already saved a ton of time with this synchronizing the shots for us. But what I'm going to do is grab 5B. I'm going to drag it in. And then I'm going to grab 5. Oh, no, that was 2B. Okay, now I'm going to grab 5B. And I'm going to drag it in. Now, what I'd like to do before I start actually editing is just to double check, because 90% of the time, this does a great job and it synchronizes everything. There are a few times I've had where for some reason it just moved the clip a weird way and it didn't, put it in the right place. So what I always like to do is to unmute the tracks, because what it does is it's going to take the first MOV file of the sequence that you selected and it's going to make that the main track and leave it unmuted. And then what it's going to do is it's going to mute the rest of the tracks. We're going to take the muting off so that we can see, or actually so that we can hear that it's synced. Okay, sounding good. If it wasn't synced, it would be like this if I were to move this over. You hear how it's like sounding doubling? It's doubling because one is from, let's see, negative 0.1 seconds back. Sometimes it's done that in the past. So I'm going to undo the scooching of that over so it's in the right place. And I'm going to go to the next track down here and I'm going to listen. Okay, next track. Okay, pretty dang good. So it did a great job. I'm just going to move these audio files and put them on the same track just the same way that we did with the video files, take out any extra space. It doesn't need to be there. And if we didn't want to play back and listen, we could have also kind of looked at the waveform and as well to make sure that these big spiky moments were on the same synchronization. I don't know how else to say that. But everything's looking really good. So also what I'm going to do is take out these beginning kind of intro shots that we don't need because we know his performance starts here because I can tell that he probably started here and then messed up. So the next thing I'm going to do is take out the beginning intro stuff that we don't need, scoot everything over, and then I just like to take out the ending stuff that we don't need as well. And the last thing that I want to do before I actually go into the editing process of putting this whole multicam thing, which is going to be pretty dang fun to do, but we don't want to use any of this audio. This audio is very echoey if we listen. It was just the onboard mic of the camera. I think I shot this with the 1DX Mark II, the 5D Mark IV. So what we want to do is take the good actual produced song and bring it in here and synchronize it. So we have the song here. And you can see how much better that sounds. So I'm going to copy that. I'm going to go to our multicam sequence. I'm going to double click it to open it up. We have all of our layers. I'm going to paste in the good track. I'm going to drag it down here to the bottom. And I'm going to go to the final beat of the track because that's the most definitive part of the video. And I'm going to listen. I'm going to solo our good track that we want to use. And I'm going to find that final beat and make a marker. Okay, I know it's right there. That last hit. Okay. Now I'm going to line it up and I'm going to unmute it. Okay. And now I know that's synced up, and what I can do is mute the rest of the tracks. And what we'll have now is all of our tracks synced up with the good sounding audio. Okay, now we're starting to get cooking here. Now if we go back to our main sequence, and I'm just going to delete this tail off here because we kind of scooted everything a little bit forward in our multicam sequence. And now we have our main sequence, and it just looks like one layer, right? We have one layer of audio and one layer of video. But this is where the good stuff happens. This is where the magic happens. I'm going to hit Shift 0. Now I have all 6 of my angles that I can view at once. So if I let this play, so we have everything that we need. Now here's the cool part of multicam. So I'm going to show you how to do it, and then I'm going to go through and edit this 30-second cut. So if we look at our waveform, we can see kind of where big striking moments are. I can already tell that right here is a striking moment. I can tell that just the beat is at the beginning of this video. So it's just a before the actual musical instruments come in. The big beat is right there. There's a pause right here. and then the ending is here. So that's going to kind of dictate where some of my cutting is going to be. And the way we can do the cutting is either by using the blade tool like this. I create a cut and then I minimize this and I can click where I want this cut I just made, which angle I want to use for it, basically. So I go and then it cut to the next angle. If I didn't want to use this angle, I could simply click and now it changes this whole clip to be that angle. The other thing you can do if you don't want to click is you can use the numeral, what's it called? The number pad. So I'm hitting 1 to go to angle 1. I'm hitting 2 on the keyboard to go to 2. I'm hitting 3 on the keyboard to go to 3, 4, and so on. Those are the two main ways to cut stationary without you playing. But honestly, my favorite one to do is to actually let the clip play through or let the timeline play through and cut live. This is the kind of like breakthrough aha moment that I had with using a multicam sequence the first time that I used it. So if I let this play and I start clicking with the shots I want to use, it's going to cut live. So let's see what that looks like. Okay, so I'm gonna hit pause and now it just saved all those cuts that I just made. So let's see in that little 20-second window, what kind of edit we just magicianed and put together. So just like that, we weren't pausing, bringing out the blade tool, cutting, scooting everything over, removing, cutting, changing angles, pulling back layers to see what's below it. We just played it through and simply clicked or used a numerical pad to cut live, almost like cutting a live event or a live TV show. They use switching boards, kind of similar to this multicam sequence, where when you're watching like the Olympics or a sporting event like the Super Bowl or something, there's guys sitting in a room with a live cutting board where they see all the angles that are happening on the field. They're cutting it live, and that's what you're seeing on your television. That's really the same process that we're doing here, is using that really cool same technique to make our editing process quicker when we're using multiple angles. So now I'm going to go through using this multicam sequence and create the first draft edit. And then we're going to hop into how to then add B-roll into our sequence. So I will see you in the next learning lesson.